Nick speaking, and welcome to this video. Right, welcome to my first ever Q&A, and just wanted to show you my t-shirt because I'm very proud of this t-shirt. This was given to me by one of my friends, an old school friend, just arrived in the post. Thank you very much, I really appreciate it, and yeah, what an awesome t-shirt it is. Right, okay, so I have some questions here. These questions came from my 1000th video where I asked people to put some questions in the comments, so I'm going to answer these. I shall put a link to everyone's who made a question for me, so go and check out their channels, and if you have some questions that you would like to ask me, then yeah, pop them into the comments below, or if you prefer you could email them to me, PM them to me, but in the comments will be fine. Okay, so the first question is from Commissar Warwick. Favourite Star Trek movie? Oh dear. Wow, what a question, because this is almost impossible to answer. Bearing in mind that I've been watching Star Trek for a long time, I've watched the movies over and over, and arguably I can answer this question easily, because I know that my favourite film is First Contact. Having said that, I've watched it so many times that it's almost lost that favourite film scenario. So, the new films that have just come out, I really, really like, and that's probably just because they're new and I haven't seen them so many times. But I pretty much love them all, to be fair. My worst film, I can tell you my worst film, I can tell you my worst scene. My worst film has got to be Nemesis. Okay, yeah, Star Trek the motion picture, we all know how not so good that is, but I take that for what it is. It's a comeback after 15 years of nothing, and they've made it as epic as they can, and if you take it for what it is actually a very good film. It's quite an epic film, but yeah, obviously it has its weaknesses. But anyway, so yes, Nemesis, my worst film. The old Data dying, and yeah, apparently that was Brent Spinner's actual idea to kill off Data. Which I think it could have worked if there was another film after that with the B4, and then the B4 became Data, rather than just being open-aired. But anyway, yeah, my worst scene is from Nemesis, and it's right at the end. Just watch it, you know exactly what I mean. Picard is there, fighting Shinzen, and Shinzen runs towards Picard, and Picard gets this like pole or something, and he does this, and Shinzen runs into the pole, basically. But it's so badly shot, because the pole does this, it goes like that. It goes into him, and you can see it's obviously not a pole going into him, and it goes like that, and it jumps, and then he's like, it's like, reshoot that scene. How did you not see that just went like that? So it looks silly. So that's my worst scene, a cringe-worthy scene. But to be fair, yeah, I do love them all, and I still like Nemesis, don't get me wrong. It's got some great scenes in there, and it's Star Trek. I love all the Star Trek. So that was that question answered. Next one is from Styrene Pheonix, previously known as Old Git. If 40k didn't exist, which fantasy army would you consider playing? I like that question, Mick, thank you. I was actually going to do a fantasy at one point. In the early days when I was with my buddies, my work colleagues, as I was talking about in that 1000th video, we actually were looking at War Machine, and we were looking at fantasy, and I was a bit late with the fantasy because they'd already chosen their armies, and I'd only had a few options left, and in the end I chose dwarfs. I got the rule book, got the codex, and dwarfs was going to be my army, and the reason why I chose dwarfs was because, well, the armies I wanted were gone. I think the armies that I actually wanted was, I'm bearing in mind I was playing Necrons then, I wanted to play the, I don't know the names, the Skeleton Army. That looked cool. It was basically Necrons, but skeletons. So that was the army I think I really wanted to play. And I remember that was taken by my buddy, and my second option, which was Vampire Counts, that was taken by somebody. So those would have been my two armies that I would have chosen in those days. But I ended up like having dwarfs. But that just didn't happen in the end. War Machine didn't happen, and Fantasy didn't happen. And I have to say I'm really, really pleased it didn't, because there's no way I'd keep on top of the expense of having those other systems. So that's that. That was then. Now, what about now? If I had a choice now, I would 100% go with the Lizard Men. That was what I would go for. I must admit, Spungemurphy and all of his Skaven videos that he's been doing, I do like Skaven. I think they're pretty cool. But I think Lizard Men. Yeah, I'd go for Lizard Men. I grew up loving dinosaurs. And I'll definitely play mine blue because I think they look really cool in blue. And you've got to go and check out Devil's Prodigy's channel as well, because he's got some awesome looking lizards on there as well. I'll put links to those channels. Okay, hopefully that answered your question. Got a little fun question from Styrene Pheonix as well. How many magnets do you have left in your drawer? Not many, actually. I don't have many magnets. I have a little tin with some magnets in. I buy about 100 of each at a time, and they last me, well, it depends obviously what I'm magnetising up, but they last me a few months or at least. And you don't have to buy a huge amount. So I think that that's why I buy 100 actually, because the price break is like 1 to 50, 1 to 49, and then 50 to 99. And then it goes 100 to 500. So to get them cheaper, you've got to buy 500 of each, and it's only like a penny cheaper for each magnet or something. So I usually buy 100 at a time. Okay, we have now Max Miller. Did you ever think about starting a Warhammer 30k army? No. And I have absolutely no idea about 30k. I'm really, really not a fluff bunny at all. I'm not into the fluff at all. I don't really know much about it. I believe, I could be wrong here, and if I am, let me know. I believe 30k is Forge World rules, possibly. All I can say is that my Space Wolves are wearing pre-heresy armour, so arguably that's a bit of 30k. But in terms of 30k, no. Especially if it's got different rule sets. So I just have no interest in that really. 40k, that's my thing. Thank you for your question, Max, though. It was a good question. Okay, so we come on to Aceface. You talked a lot and how you got beaten all the time when you started, and then when you started your Space Elves. Well, yeah, I did lose a lot when I started the Eldar, but I didn't lose a lot when I first started, but it was just mainly the Eldar because of the huge learning curve. So, as you had a very good record in 6th edition, perfect, I think. It was perfect. Almost perfect in 5th, apart from the draws. Because 5th edition missions was quite easy to draw, especially the 2 objective one. But yeah, 6th edition I don't think I actually lost. Not quite so good in 7th edition, wink wink. Yes, that's right, I've only lost once in 7th edition, that was to Aceface. But overall, what do you think your record of win and lose draws are? Then add another lose for it for your coming game with me. Ha ha. Yes, thank you, Ace. We shall see about that. That's a good question, actually. I used to keep a record of all of my armies of how many wins, losses and draws I've had. But I got bored of that, so I didn't bother. So I have no idea. But what I can tell you is, obviously, I do play a limited amount of players. At this current in time, I only play 3 players. Yeah, so obviously I'm playing Ace, and Ace is very competitive, and that's really good for me. And we did talk about going into maybe a doubles tournament at some point, which I think that would be really good for me as well. But yeah, I basically I haven't kept a record, but I have done incredibly well. And as I said, I've pretty much, I mean, 5th edition, 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th edition been highly successful for me. So yeah, but I couldn't tell you an overall statistics now. Okay, next question is from Jameson Caine. As a huge Trek fan, who knew what IDIC stood for the instant I saw it? Well done. I'll ask you this. Rank the various TV series from your favourites to the least favourites. This is another impossible Star Trek question. Yeah, don't know that I can do it. Once again, I've watched the TV series over and over again. I can probably tell you what I like about each individual series the most. And maybe come to a conclusion at the end. I think I know the answer actually, what is my favourite series. But let me run through them. So, Star Trek original series, it's the original series. How can you not love that? I didn't obviously see the original broadcast on TV, but I did see the first reruns with my dad. I was about, I don't know the age, 8, 10-ish. And I do remember sitting down, my dad was on the sofa, I was sitting down next to the fire, Star Trek was on, I think it was 6 o'clock, and loved it. I absolutely loved it. And I still am on a mission to get the digitally remastered HD box set, where they've remastered all the episodes and brought them all up to date. I really, really want to get that. But yeah, love watching the original series. So the original, yes. Then we move on to the Next Generation, which I've probably seen the most amount of times. I've watched the series like a huge amount of times. And it brings back lots of memories for me. Again, going back to my dad, I don't want to be sombre about this, but the last thing I watched with my dad on telly before he went into hospital and sadly passed away in hospital was Star Trek, and we watched it just happened to be on telly. We were waiting for the ambulance to come, and happened to be on telly, and it was the... Getting emotional now? It was the, excuse me. It was the Borg episode, where they get thrown into the future, and then they see, and then the Borg come and get them. Excuse me, man, I was not expecting that to hit me. Right, sorry about that. I've composed myself now. So yeah, that was the Borg episode, and that was the last thing he saw before he went in hospital. So it holds some good memories for me, and there's no doubt it's a fantastic series. My favourite character from there is Riker, because for me, Riker he's like Captain Kirk. He's like the Kirk character in The Next Generation. So really, really love that series. And then we move on to, what do we have next? Was it Deep Space Nine or Voyager? It was Deep Space Nine, of course, how could I forget? It's Deep Space Nine, I didn't watch when it was on the TV, I just couldn't get into it. But now I have the box set, and I've watched the episodes right the way through. The first couple of seasons, a bit wishy-washy, but once you hit the Dominion War, once Worf comes into the space station, and O'Brien, wow. Actually, Deep Space Nine, love it. Really, really good. And And I love the Dominion War episodes where they sort of run from one to the next, and that was quite unique for Star Trek. So yeah, really like Deep Space Nine. Then we go on to Voyager. Overlaps by 2 years. Voyager, totally different concept. Putting Janeway's croaky voice aside, I have to say probably my most favourite series. It's because it's different, you know. They're in a different area of space. It's different aliens, new stories. You know, it's quite heartwarming. The fact that they're trying to get home, and you know the different wormholes and time travel. Time travel is my biggest thing. I love time travel films. So I probably would put Voyager as my most favourite series, but it's like they're all like this, and Voyager maybe like that. And then of course Enterprise, which such a shame that got axed only after 4 seasons, because that was a fantastic series. You had to take it for what it was, you know, going pre-Kirk and pre-technology, you know, and the Xindi series, the whole season of Xindi, wow, that's like non-stop. It's like episode finishes, gotta watch the next one, gotta watch the next one, gotta watch the next one. Loved it. Yeah, so that's all of them. So the answer to the question is, I think Voyager is probably my favourite one. Okay, next one is from Robert Chrissam. Do you write a script or talking points for your video, or is it all ad lib? Another good question, thank you. It's pretty much ad lib. There's occasional videos that I will make notes. When I do my learning curve videos, for example, I have all the stats behind a video just in case I get stuck. Sometimes you like think, oh yeah, it's got a 3+ invulnerable, is it 4+ invulnerable? Oh, and then just look at the stat and then you can say it. But on the whole, it's ad lib. I do cycle to work and cycle home again, obviously. And I do think about my videos and what I'm going to say there. So I suppose I pre-plan in my head roughly what I want to say. But on the whole, it's just all ad lib. Okay, next is Graudys Lair. Seeing as you have won so many competitions, which was your most favourite channel competition / giveaway to take part in, and why? This is an easy one for me. This is Nerdpolis Prime's, I think it was his 250th competition. Yeah, Nerdpolis Prime, such a fun guy, very, very funny guy. And I was jibing with him all through the competition that I was going to win. Because I don't know why, but for some reason I really fancied my chances of winning. Not only winning, because he had different prizes, and the prize I wanted to win was the Chaos half of the Dark Vengeance kit. Because I really fancied getting a new army, and I thought that'd be a cool chance. So anyway, I was jibing with him, joking with him for a long time. Like whilst the competition was going, pretty much every comment was, yeah, well, when I win the Chaos army. I just had this feeling. And then, so that was fun. But then when he did his competition winning video, the prize giveaway, it was just amazing because I didn't win until last, and all the other winners that were before me chose different prizes to what I wanted, and it was the last dice roll. It was for the Chaos Army, and I would say Pocket Pet Villain, that was his old channel name, and Nerdpolis got this dice and he put IDICBeer on each side and he rolled it and said, IDICBeer won. I go, no, I'm only joking. And then he rolled the dice, and believe it or not, my name came up, and he's so gobsmacked. He's like, it is so funny. You've got to go and watch it. I shall put a link in the description below to that video. Absolutely love that. That's definitely my most fun giveaway. Next, and actually the very last question is from Joshua Swann. What is your favourite historical period and why? I'm really not into history and historical periods that much. I think I can choose a period that I would say would be my favourite. If I was getting into that type of thing, it would probably be the Romans, the Roman era. I actually really like, I mean, I grew up watching the epic films like Spartacus and Ben-Hur and, you know, that sort of stuff. So I suppose that would be it. But things like Napoleonics and stuff, that's, to be fair, I don't know much about that. But yeah, I'd say Romans. Romans would be where I would be at. And I do want to do, at some point, some sort of 6mm thing. So maybe a 6mm Roman army, if there is one. I don't know when or if that will ever happen, but one day, you never know. Okay, so that is it. That is all those questions answered. Hopefully you enjoyed my answers. And as I said, if you've got any more questions for episode 2, season 2, question and answers, then put your questions in the comments below. Thanks for watching.